The clock struck midnight as Jake drove his rusty old car through the deserted countryside. The faint hum of the engine and the distant rustle of leaves were the only sounds accompanying him. His phone's GPS had stopped working an hour ago, leaving him to rely on memory and the faint moonlight to navigate his way home. A strange broadcast interrupted the static on his car radio. Emergency alert, unidentified viral outbreak reported. Citizens are advised to remain indoors. Avoid physical contact with infected individuals. Jake frowned. Another hoax, he muttered, switching off the radio. The road ahead was dark and lonely, lined with dense woods that seemed to stretch forever. Suddenly, his headlights caught someone, standing in the middle of the road. Jake slammed the brakes, his tires screeching. The figure was hunched over, its back to him. "Hey, are you okay?" Jake called, stepping out cautiously. The figure turned slowly, revealing a gaunt face with hollow eyes and pale, decaying skin. Blood dripped from its mouth as it stumbled toward him. "Oh, no," Jake whispered, realizing the truth too late. The creature lunged. Jake scrambled back into his car, slamming the door just as its bony hands clawed at the window. He hit the gas, the tires spinning before the car sped forward, throwing the zombie off balance. Heart pounding, Jake raced down the road, but relief was short-lived. Ahead, more figures emerged from the shadows, staggering onto the road. Their moans filled the air, low and guttural, sending shivers down his spine. He swerved sharply, narrowly avoiding a group, and found himself on a dirt path leading into the forest. The car bounced violently over rocks and roots, but the moaning grew fainter behind him. Thinking he'd lost them, Jake stopped the car to catch his breath. He reached for his phone, but it was still dead. "Just a bad dream," he whispered, trying to convince himself. A rustling sound shattered the silence. Jake froze, his hand on the ignition. The rustling grew louder, closer. A decaying hand slammed against his window. Then another. Dozens of them surrounded the car, their faces pressed against the glass. Jake screamed and floored the gas pedal. The car plowed through the horde, the thuds of bodies hitting metal echoing in his ears. Blood smeared the windshield as he careened through the forest, not knowing where he was headed. Suddenly, the car jerked to a halt. He had hit something, a tree. Smoke billowed from the hood and the engine sputtered, then died. Jake stumbled out, his flashlight shaking in his hands. The forest was eerily quiet, but he knew they were close. He ran blindly, tripping over roots and branches, the flashlight casting erratic beams of light. The moans returned, louder and closer. He turned, the beam of his flashlight revealing a wall of decayed faces closing in on him. With nowhere to run, Jake pressed his back against a tree, his breath shallow and ragged. The zombies surrounded him, their rotten hands reaching out. His screams echoed into the night, swallowed by the darkness.